January 7, 2016. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger and promptly posted on the municipal public bulletin board and filed in the office of the municipal clerk, informing the public time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, PL 1975. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mayor.
Tonight we have some presentations. Ryan, please.
Office of the Mayor Certificate of Award. Ryan Barron is a recipient of the very first President's Citation of Historic Action on Monday, August the 26th, the first day of fall classes at Kutztown University. Ryan noticed a female student in medical distress, and having worked as an emergency medical technician during the summer, he took immediate action, administering emergency medical care until the University Police and local EMS teams arrived. Congratulations on the Kutztown University Presidential Citation, wishing you the best in your future endeavors. Signed, Mayor Lamona of Garwood. This is Natalie from our local ShopRite store. National Nutrition Month 2016. Whereas food is the substance of life which is sustained, and whereas the type, quality, and amount of food that individuals consume each day plays a vital role in their overall health and physical fitness. And whereas there is a need for continuing nutrition education as a wide-scale effort to enhance healthy eating practices. Now, therefore, I, Charles Amaro, Mayor of the Borough of Garwood, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2016 as National Nutrition Month in the Borough of Garwood. Whereas I encourage all citizens to join the campaign and become concerned about their nutrition and the nutrition of others in achieving optimum health both today and tomorrow. Approved, Mayor Lamar of Garwood.
National Nutrition Month here in Garwood. Part of my work as a dietitian at ShopRite is to work with the community. So I provided some goodie bags with information, my calendars, recipes, coupons, some samples. So feel free to take them. If we run out, I can get more from my car, so let me know. But thank you. Thank you.
Chief Thorson, please step forward. I didn't see him either. That was good. Everyone stand up.
Mayor, how are you?
That wasn't nice. No cheap jokes.
Tall guy.
First, I'd like to thank all the members of the fire department on behalf of their former chief. Resolution number 16150, whereas Michael Thorson has faithfully served as citizens of our borough as the fire chief from January 1st, 2013 to December 31st, 2015. Whereas Michael Thorson has dedicated many years as firefighter, moving up the ranks, serving 3 years as a public servant as the chief, giving his personal time to serve the citizens of Garwood at the highest rank, fire chief of the borough of Garwood. Whereas the governing body of the borough of Garwood wishes to publicly announce and acknowledge and commend him for his loyal and dedication service to all the people of Garwood. Now, therefore, be resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Garwood to hereby express best wishes to Michael Thorson and his family in the upcoming years, and be further resolved that the Mayor and the municipal clerk hereby authorized to affix the signature on the copy of this resolution presented, whereas to be presented to Michael on adopted February 9, 2016, approved Mayor Charles Amaro of Garwood.
Council, Borough Clerk and their staff, Fire Commissioners for all their support throughout the years, most of all, the members of the Fire Department. Thank you for all your support. Couldn't have done it without all of them. Thank you.
Okay, at this time we'll have a presentation from Carol Carney, our Business and Industrial Liaison.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's an update on the chamber, start with the chamber. First, I would like to thank Mayor Lombardo and Councilwoman Tedisco for attending the event at Weinreich Markets. Last Tuesday evening, there were approximately 70 people in attendance. Weinreich Market employs several people from Garwood, and again, I thank both the Mayor and Councilwoman for attending that event. Very important, because they sit right on the border of Garwood. We now have a total of 500 members in 5 towns belonging to the Chamber of Commerce. A great new addition is Garwood. The Business Association was dissolved, and they are now full members of the Greater Westville Area Chamber of Commerce and have brought 54 new businesses into our chamber. The Garwood Greater Westville Area Chamber of Commerce Foundation is a new addition and has been designed to give scholarships to our high school students from the 5 towns and sponsor nonprofit activities. We were one of the sponsors of the movie Under the Stars last year and will sponsor it again this year. Movie Under the Stars is scheduled for September 9th at the Athletic Field Complex. Garwood itself has over 42 businesses as members. We will be having grand openings for Moxie Pilates and Studio 3 at the end of March. Also, I'd like to add, I received notification that a hair salon will open on South Avenue within the next month, and an art gallery will open at the Volunteer VFW location. Both businesses will be joining the chamber. The Young Entrepreneurs Program, which is part of our chamber also, has 16 students and they are creating 7 businesses. There is an investor panel on March 16th at the Academy for Applied Health Sciences in Scotch Plains. All are welcome to attend. Hopefully they will get to the Shark Tank this year. There are scholarships available for this program also for any of the children in the five surrounding towns. Please visit their booths at Garwood Rocks. Just one more item. The Chamber is running their first event, golf event, which will be lots of fun for all. The name is 9 Dine and Wine for 99, which is scheduled for May 11th. All the money, the proceeds from that event will go into the foundation and will be given back to the surrounding communities. Now, Garwood Rocks. Garwood Rocks date is June 5th, and it will be from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The meeting with all the borough department heads was a success. Police, fire, DPW, county, and Y. I am bringing in some new attractions this year, and we'll have more information to share in April. As of this date, we have 24 vendors signed up, and our annual car show is throwing deli. And that's it. My report, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Carol, can you email that to me, please?
I just want to let you know, I printed this in case I wasn't able to read it.
Okay. I'll take it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll move on. Borough Engineer Don Borriello.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. A few things to update, John. Obviously, we're working on a sewer on Center Street. I think everybody see that. Work should be completed on that tomorrow. So it only took 3 days to get that done. We're still awaiting the DOT approval on the projects for 2015. I spoke to them on Friday, yesterday and today. They tell me they need a couple more days. So I hope that by the end of the week we'll have their going on that bidding process. And we are out for bid right now on the sidewalk program, and like those are the concrete contractors. So that project is going to be received on March the 16th. That's all.
Thank you. Any comments or questions for Mr. Goriello? Hearing none. Borough Attorney Robert Renaud.
Thank you, Mayor. Everything I have is for closed session tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Ariane, do you have anything?
No report.
Thank you. Any unfinished business before the council? Any new business? Sorry. Okay, our Mayor's Saturday in March will be held on the third Saturday of the month, March 19th, at Borough Hall. I have invited Councilwoman Kukrow to join me. This Mayor's Saturday will be changed a bit. It will be held from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. due to the Easter egg hunt at 11:45. I'm sure we'll hear some more about that event by our council report. I was honored and pleased to meet with Pastor Ron Stafford and Pastor Mike Levy of the Liquid Church to be located on Center Street, formerly at the site of St. Paul's Church. Pastor Tracy Calloway of Garwood Presbyterian Church set up the meeting and joined us for our discussions. The Liquid Church plans to open their doors in the time of the Easter season, and they wanted to express to me that their willingness to be good neighbors and to be an active part of our community. Also, as noted at the last council meeting, I am a member of the Union County Community Development Social Services Committee. The news I bring to report is not good. Funding for our programs have been decreased by $450. We are not alone, however. Other communities also receive the same news of funding reductions. That's all I have for this evening. Okay. Comments or matters for discussion from members of council? Councilwoman Kukrow.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few quick things. I wanted to first of all thank Councilman Sarno for setting up a meeting with Chief Underhill and myself to address the concerns about the speeding issue in town and my info gathering on speed bumps. He advised me that he'd been working on it. It's a process, and speed bumps were, he felt, the last resort. He said grant monies have been submitted for a pair of signs beginning on 4th Avenue. He reassured me that he takes these speeding issues very seriously. He said he's happy to speak to anyone that shares my concerns to explain the process to them. Also, I want to reach out and thank Police Officer Joseph Strander for stopping at my house early this morning. I was in my pajamas to let me know that the gas company is going to be running a new service across the street from my house, and they would be digging up my driveway apron as part of the process. If he did not take the time and go out of his way to notify me, I would have had no way to pull out of my driveway and get to the office. Of course, the gas company would see no reason to contact residents for this, but I just thought it was really nice of him to let me know. That's all for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments? Seeing none or hearing none. Now, Councilman Martin.
Nothing.
Thank you. Councilman Matthew?
Yeah, Mayor, I have my chief of staff, otherwise known as my wife, was contacted by relatives of Harry Hartman, and they basically said they want to put a plaque up on Hartman Park that is missing. They've generously offered to donate it. And this has kind of been, they reference here talking to Mayor McCarthy, and they sent me an email that was sent to us back in 2012. This has been kind of roaming around for a while, so it's kind of a no-brainer just to accept their generosity on behalf of their father.
I think because the historical committee is working on that type of venue, I think we should pass that on to them.
Okay.
I think, if you mind, Councilwoman?
Absolutely, Mayor.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very interesting too. I didn't really know much about Mr. Hartman. Harry Hartman was a Republican from Brooklyn. First elected in 1967, was serving as police commissioner at the time of his death in 1971. He also served as street commissioner, and for the first time in the history of the department was awarded a garbage can by the men of the street department for his dedicated service. Born in Brooklyn, Mr. Hartman lived in Bayonne 45 years prior to moving to Garwood 13 years prior. He retired in 1963 from the Bayonne refinery of the Humboldt Oil and Refining Company, where he was supervisor. and he had more than 39 years of service with the company. He was a member of the Knights of Columbus, Garwood Republican Club, the Honorary PBA. He was a member of St. Anne's Parish. He had a son, a daughter, a brother, and 7 grandchildren. So, yeah, I'll pass that along to the historical committee, but hopefully we'll just get a little speed going on this.
Yeah, I think we can get it going as well.
Okay.
Do you want to pass along the contact information to me or anything else?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further comments on Councilman's report? Hearing none, Councilwoman, I'm sorry, Councilman Sarno.
Nothing, Mayor.
I'm getting better. Councilwoman Tedesco.
Yes, Mayor, one item. In light of all the news going around with New Jersey Transit, I have noticed that some towns are planning contingency plans for their train riders. And so luckily, if there happens to be a strike this weekend and service stops on the train line on Monday, the buses are still going to operate. So our 59 bus on South Avenue takes riders to Newark Penn Station. The 113 on North Avenue goes directly to New York City. I read an article from the Garwood Patch actually that there are 30 enhanced bus routes for this plan, and the 113 is included in that. There were also 5 park and ride stops added, and the full contingency plan is on njtransit.com. However, I did notice that some communities were using town buses for this, and obviously we only have the one bus, a senior bus, but I was wondering if that's something that it's worth reaching out to the bus drivers to see if they'd be interested in working this and possibly taking commuters from a location here in Garwood, possibly pick up at our downtown area, maybe even the Casal lot, since that's been very advantageous for our community in the past with parking and snowstorms and so forth, and maybe taking commuters to Newark Penn Station. So not, going to New York City, of course, but at least going to a main hub. It's just a thought. I know it's in the news a lot right now, and wanted to just bring the idea out. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments? We'll move on to Council President Petrozelli, please.
I have nothing to discuss, Mayor.
Thank you. Then we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone. State your full name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Hi, Kathleen Patterson, 416 Center Street, Garwood. First off, I'd like to thank Eileen Kukaro for her persistence in addressing the speeding issues in this town. All too many times, while living on Center Street for about 45 years now, I've had the experience of witnessing cars speed from about 3 to 7 p.m. down Center Street, and it's just gotten really worse. It's become an absolute raceway with not much disciplinary action. This brings me to a position I'm very passionate about, and that's the safety of the children at Lincoln School. As a parent with a daughter attending the school, I'm very concerned and taken back by the amount of speeders zooming down Walnut Avenue, some not even realizing this is a 25-mile-an-hour school zone. Every day since September of last year, I've sat with my daughter in our car from approximately 7:45 to 8:15, and I'm appalled by all the cars speeding, mostly to work. I've just about had my door blown off. Many go so fast that my car has rocked and swayed back and forth, and that's no exaggeration. I've witnessed several parents, some with strollers, trying to cross the 2nd and Walnut corner and barely miss getting hit. I've witnessed a crossing guard, who all are just fabulous, by the way, regarding the safety of children at these corners. I've seen one almost tackle a group of children to protect them from the speeding ambulance while they were trying to step off the curb to cross the street. I remember when Mr. Kai Reed, crossing guard, was hit by a car a few years back at that same corner. We've spoken about speed humps, digital radar. Why not have a cop positioned at the corner of 2nd and Walnut with lights flashing? Most people don't even know that that's a school zone. Cars are definitely going over 25 miles an hour. My plea to you all is to address this problem now before any fatalities. What is it going to take before the safety of our own children and residents is recognized? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor Lombardo, ladies and gentlemen of the council, Bruce Patterson, 325 Willow Avenue.
Patterson?
Well, I appreciate, I look forward, as a member of the historical committee, I look forward to the information. I always wondered who Mr. Hartman was and why they dedicated the park. So
Councilman enlightened you this evening.
yeah, and that was good. So, I still wonder who Mr. Unami is.
Why does it have to be a Mr.?
That's
Maybe it's a Mrs. Bruce. Maybe it's Mrs. Unami.
They're
Miss.
Indians, they're Indians. That's what it is. It's an Indian tribe.
All right, moving along. And this is more for our borough engineer, but you know, I stand before you as an irate citizen, what else to do, but and this goes in with Councilwoman Kukuro's statement about the gas company. The water company on Willow Avenue, 300 block of Willow Avenue, has now been replacing fire hydrants. Now, you didn't mention that when we were talking about the work. But anyway, so I have a fire hydrant in front of my house, and they dug a big area of the pavement, and they actually put the fire hydrant a couple of feet from the other fire hydrant. But what I'm mad about is, and I'm sure they marked out the utilities, because I have a gas line on that side, and I also have my sanitary line on that side. And I swear they might have put the leader leading up to that fire hydrant right over where my sanitary line is. And maybe that's okay, but really what I'm very concerned about is my sanitary line, I don't know, just a guess, got to be 100 years old. And as you know, a lot of major equipment, excavation equipment, makes a lot of vibrations, and so my line could be compromised. It may not be collapsing soon, but the lifespan could have been shortened a lot. And at this point, I really don't know how you could address the liability. But if something happens in 5 years, what is it? Is it my liability? The water company possibly did this damage, and 5 years later, I'm going to have to be paying for digging up and replacing my sanitary line. I'm sure it's cast iron, but it's cast iron at the house trapped inside the basement. So I'd really like to hear possibly from the borough engineer, you know, whatever the situation could be and how it could be resolved. So I guess that's it. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
This is a light moment.
Is it a short light moment?
It's a short light
Okay,
moment,
thank you.
320 Hickory. Just wanted to remind Tina, the Arbor Day is the last Friday in April. It is coming up. In the past, we've gotten trees through Union County, and last year we had a tree planting ceremony over at Lincoln School. I know this coming year we have over $10,000 worth of trees being planted, so just want to work with the clerk and whoever else to make sure we have an Arbor Day ceremony this year. Since we are planting this amount of trees, I'd like to see if we can actually get the Tree City Award. We haven't gotten it in a long time, and so maybe we can shoot for it this year. And for those who don't have it in your calendars, the last Friday in April, which is April 29th. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll work with you, Tina, to try to do something.
Okay.
Anyone else?
John Cassoni, 212 Walnut Street. Yeah, I just want to say two things. One is I wanted to endorse what this woman said about Walnut Street. The traffic is just atrocious. I mean, people who are not observing 25 miles an hour. It's quite pathetic. And the other thing, I just want to ask what the status is on the 2-hour parking permits that are going up. I only see the two that were done on Walnut Street. I don't know who would address that.
We are still in the process of putting up the rest of the signs.
Do you know when that will start again?
I can check in with the superintendent of public works tomorrow, and I can get back to you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, I will. I'd like to, Rich McCormick, 101 4th Avenue, Garwood. I guess I'd like to address what the young woman said about the school. I mean, at this point in time, in our modern technology, why don't we have a certain amount of lines painted at that school? Why don't we have flashing lights at the school zone? We all know living here this long is a shortcut to go from A to B. So I'm wondering why at this point we don't have that. Secondary, the parking picture you just discussed, it's been quite a long time now. Why are we still in the process of making this work when it should be working already? So it's just another question out front, so hopefully that gets addressed also. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, please? Seeing none at this time, I'll ask for the adjournment of this meeting, please.
So moved, Mayor?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll move on, council. All rise for a moment of silence to salute to the flag, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the Westfield Leader, the Union County local source, as advertised on January 7, 2016. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger and promptly posted on the Municipal Public Bulletin Board and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk informing the public of the time and place according to provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, PL 1975. If you want, please turn your cell phones off and put them on vibrate. Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Ariana.
Mayor Lombardo.
Here.
Councilman Kukrow.
Present.
Councilman Martin.
Here.
Councilman Matthew.
Here.
Councilman Sarno.
Here.
Councilman Tedisco.
Here.
Council President Petrozelli.
Here. Ms. Ariana, minutes.
Regular workshop minutes of the mayor and council held on February 23rd, 2016.
We have a motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Ariana, communications.
New Jersey State League of Municipalities Mayor's Advisory.
Receive and file.
Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders Ordinance.
Receive and file.
Royal Valley Sewage Authority Minutes.
Receive and file.
And Garwood Library Board of Trustees Minutes.
Receive and file. Move on to ordinances. Public hearing on ordinance 16-02 as advertised on February 24, 2016. Please read.
Yes, Mayor. An ordinance to amend Chapter 30 Personnel Policies of the Code of the Borough of Garwood to limit eligibility for health insurance benefits and other benefits.
You didn't receive any correspondence on 1602.
None, Mayor.
Thank you. Does anyone present wish to be heard concerning ordinance 16-02?
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. I just came back in. Oh, wonderful.
Okay, thank you. Bill Neer said 320 Hickory Avenue. I don't have a prepared statement. We're going to need one for this. I'd like to state that I'm opposed to the adoption of this ordinance. Both the borough clerk, I shouldn't say both, I should say all, each the borough clerk, as well as the former borough attorney and the present borough attorney have advised this council that the law cannot be implemented. It's also contrary to law. So the council, if this passes, is only once again opening itself up to another suit of some type. It's unnecessary. I don't see either tonight or any other night a huge outcry from the public that this has to be done. It seems to be very personal, and I won't take any further than that, just to say that I encourage this council to vote this ordinance down. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You ready, Mr. Patterson?
Yeah, I'll make them go if they want to go. Lombardo, ladies and gentlemen of the council, Bruce Patterson, 325 Willow Avenue. And obviously, we're standing at the cliff, so I don't know which way it's going to go, or I can probably guess which way it's going to go.
Could you accelerate the process, please?
I mean, about 4 years ago, I talked to Lou, and he said he was going to do something. So, I mean, if he only did something back then, we wouldn't be in this situation, and whatever's going to, come out of it. But moving forward, I mean, this ordinance, many people have stood up and said it appears to be unlawful. I actually I opened and got the documents, and I read it also, Mr. Triarci and Mr. Renaud's documents. And the take that I have is, yes, I don't think it can be done. However, 10 years ago, I was at a council meeting. There was an ordinance that the council passed, and it was unconstitutional. I mean, it was actually, and Mr. Renaud mentioned this in the other meeting, it was in violation of the founding documents of our nation. And yet, the council still passed it. I spoke up about that. I told them it was unconstitutional. So, I mean, it's already set a precedent that this council, does dubious things. I mean, just last week, they violated the sanctity and the confidentiality of attorney-client privilege, which is a very serious incident. I'm surprised Mr. Renaud didn't faint, fall off the chair, but he took it in stride, which is okay. But that takes precedence or has priority over police investigations and even testimony that you can't violate attorney-client privilege. But here it was, they all, the council voted, and so now the documents are out in public, and I, of course, opened them and I have them, and that's what I'm going to speak about. I mean, looking them over, like I said, the ordinance doesn't look like it really is legit. I will recommend, sure, you can pass it, just don't enforce it, because we already have precedents about passing these things. So, I mean, at this point, I put on my blog, I mean, I actually mentioned that there may be other alternatives, and so you have this ordinance possibly in place. And there are other alternatives, and like I said, I put it on my blog, and one is possibly, you look at maybe minimum working hours prior to 2010, base salary, how that could be figured. I think Councilman Matthew mentioned about that. Even outside employers, they can. It looked like the LFN, local finance, says that outside employers can pay for the health benefits of people in the state health benefits, and even percentages imposed that possibly the council could actually impose certain percentages over and above what the 2010 mandate was for those people moving forward. So, I mean, there is possible loopholes or things to address, but I mean, we really are standing here, and I don't know if anybody's going to speak after me, but I listened and I read the letters into the paper, and yet anybody who was against this and supporting Councilor Petrozelli, nobody actually mentioned, because maybe they're afraid to mention it, but the cost that this is to the taxpayers. And as a taxpayer, I'm just asking Lou again, you can really just end this by doing a compromise. Councilman Matthew asked a compromise. I was asking for a compromise many years. So, I mean, we can actually put this to rest with a simple conciliatory compromise. And it'll be a win for the taxpayers. It won't be a win for the Republicans. It won't be a win for the Democrats, because it's not political at all. It's really the taxpayers that pay it, and it would be a win, and it would be very nice that they did that. It's really up to your conscience, of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm John Bartlett, 231 Hemlock Avenue. I can't say I'm a lawyer, and I'm not going to pretend to be one. I can't say I'm an accountant, I'm not going to pretend to be one. I haven't operated the document. I will say this, I'm happy about one thing, and that this nauseating spectacle of dragging this topic out will hopefully come to an end tonight. And that hopefully, actually, we've put aside any pretense that this is about good governance or that this is about the taxpayer. This is about a personal attack against the city council. If it was about the law, you'd go to the origin of the law. You'd be petitioning your elected officials in Trenton to change the law. If it was about the recurring cost, it would have been addressed in 2010, 2011, 2012, however long since that law has been in effect, and the councilman's been sitting at the dais. But that isn't the case, is it? So let's call it for what it is. Okay, and if you want to have your attack, but I'll tell you right now, nothing good for this borough will come from passing this ordinance. I don't think it will ever be implemented. So you may make score some points with the constituency, but if your constituency is the borough of Garwood, you'll put this thing aside and stop the nonsense right now. And I got to tell you, like a lot of people, I've looked at this way, every way possible. And there's a hypocrisy embedded in all this. I'd like to see by a show of hands, how many of you have foregone, since it's tax season, a deduction that you had coming to you? Legal, ethical? Do you deduct your property taxes every year? How much does that cost in the face of a crippling deficit and a national debt? How many of you have volunteered to forego a capital gains tax rate and pay a higher rate? I don't see any hands going up. I know I have it. So let's call this for what it is. This is a legal right. I hear a lot of talk about the legal rights of people and how we never use eminent domain and we never want to infringe on the right of the individual. This is a right that was given by our state government. Only they can take it away. Go ahead. Go ahead and petition them and change that law. I think you'd probably find a lot of support in the state for that. I think there's a lot of problems with that law that was passed. But right now, I think this is a shameful, uncalled for attack on an individual who doesn't deserve it. And that was illustrated by the fact that it was tied back to a vote that individual took last July, apples and oranges situation. And if any one of you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I've never taken a handout from the government, I've never taken anything that I had coming to me legally. If you can say that, great. But if you can't, if you're going to hold yourselves to that same standard, never again will you ever cut back on an individual's salary, fight their time, or anything else along those lines. So I don't know that I'm going to be able to persuade anyone tonight in the way that they're going to vote, but I do think that people need to be heard. You're here to do the will of the people. I'm a people, and I'm telling you right now that I think that this is a shameful ordinance. It's ridiculous. It won't hold up, and it won't be implemented, and you do what you want with this thing. So thanks.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
John Cassoni, 212 Walnut Street. Yeah, I'm totally in favor of this amendment, despite some of the hot air that I just heard. I mean, it's ridiculous. The fact that this never came up before, it was never taken care of before, is immaterial. Okay, it's here now. We're spending money for a part-time councilman for health benefits, and it's just atrocious in my mind. Nobody's covering my benefits, okay? And I don't think part-time employees should be paid for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 16-02?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 16?
Mayor, I have something.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Then.
Discussion is after he takes this role.
Right, yeah.
Take the motion.
Right. Okay. A motion to adopt ordinance 16-02?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. Just very quickly, I would like to say personally that this has absolutely nothing to do with our sitting councilman. It has nothing personal at all. But I did take the time the last 2 weeks and had a very lengthy and informative conversation with DLGS, Division of Local Government Services. He told me emphatically that we have every right and totally within the law to pass this current ordinance concerning this issue. To state it quite simply, we're simply passing an ordinance that mirrors and runs parallel to the state statute. When Christie passed this in 2010, it was a state mandate. Towns and cities had every right to pass something similar locally. That has not been formally done in Garwood thus far. What we are doing here today is memorializing it as part of our ordinance going forward. No more, no less. for all the grandstanders making false accusations that we are breaking the law, going to get sued, and crucifying certain members of council. You have been ill-informed. This ordinance mirrors state statute with all the same caveats, exactly as it was written, and for that reason, I wholeheartedly support this ordinance. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other council members?
Yeah, Mayor, if I could just make a comment. I just want to, first of all, I want to thank Councilman Sarno for going ahead and taking the charge of this issue. This was a public service. And, you know, if you're going to stick your neck out like this for the borough, you're going to have me next to you every step of the way. And you see how hard it is to change things. The bureaucracy and the politicians coalesce together, and they will fight you, and they will come after you. And mark my words, they will continue to come after you. But you know what? Jim Matthew has you back every step of the way. Thank you for this. Mr. Bartlett said this has been drawn out. I've been drawn out this is like years now. This has been talked about at ShopRite, at the Little League field, in council chambers, on doorsteps. How many times have I heard, don't tell Lou I said this to you, but I think it's so wrong he takes those benefits. So what Councilman Sarno did was took that public matter from out there and brought it up here where the people's representatives will talk about it and will vote on it tonight. And that's where it should be, and it will be done tonight. Okay? So that's the fabulous thing that's happening with this. We're here to talk about what you guys care about, not to hide from it. All right? Mayor Petracchi first talked about Council President Petrozelli's benefits to the press November 9th of 2011. Okay? Back then they were $22,000 a year. She said she wanted to have him contribute more to those benefits. That went on. She made some other comments to the press on that. Mr. Patterson then took the lead on this. Council President called the police on Mr. Patterson in trying to broker a compromise. Very publicly, I have asked Councilwoman Tedisco, I have asked the mayor, I've asked Councilman Petrozelli twice for a compromise. I will say here I begged. I floated the idea of a fundraiser. There are many people who would do that. I offered to contribute a substantial amount of money to that fundraiser. The answer every step of the way was no, no, no. So I often hear from people, can't you just sit down, shake hands, and compromise? In this instance, the answer is no. We tried to compromise. I was actually criticized by some people for saying I was going a little too easy. I literally would have taken anything, and I would pull my vote. You got to have a partner if you want to have a compromise. We don't have that partner. The answer is no. And the answer is not no to Jim Matthews, not to Joe Sarno, or anybody else. The answer is no to you. $32,000 a year, $170,000 to date. The other thing that came to mind was proportionality. When is enough enough? By the end of Council President Petrozelli's term, we will have spent almost $250,000 on these health and dental benefits. I'm sorry, kids, that's wrong. That's wrong. So, and I'll finish up now, Mayor. I totally second what Councilwoman Kukrow said. The most shameful thing about this has been the threats of lawsuits. We're going to break the law. The town's going to sue us. Well, who's going to sue us? Well, nobody's going to sue us, but you're going to get sued. Well, who the council president's going to? No. You put words in his mouth. But someone out there is going to sue you. That is really shameful. And that goes back to you, Councilman Sarno. That shows you that's what you're up against. That's what we're all up against here in Garwood. I'm going to proudly vote for this. Councilman Sarno, you went ahead and took the lead on this. You spent a lot of time on this. You called elected officials all around New Jersey where they told you they did what these people here say we can't do. Okay? And you deserve all the credit for this. Councilwoman Cooper, you seconded him along the way. I am proud to follow you on this. You have my vote.
Truthfully, I'm just shocked that it wasn't brought up sooner. I really am. I mean, 2013, 2012, this was brought up all around the state. Multiple people, from Democrats to Republicans. I spoke to them personally. They were shocked that it was still going on. I talked to a few even recently from our neighboring towns. They're like, really, that's happening? Yeah, it is. He has every right to waive this. He's had every right to waive this. He has chosen not to. I think it's about time we brought it up to the public so they get to see exactly what the costs are and where everyone stands on the issue. That's it. I'm going to keep it short and simple. I'm still supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, just a moment, if I may. I just want to state again for the record that I, as a general principle, do not agree with part-time elected officials getting health benefits. I think very few people do. However, again, with the borough clerk's statement, 2 attorneys' opinions on this, the voters spoke with 2 re-elections of Councilman Petrozelli, which was a argument actually made back in 2014. So Councilman Sarno, when you wonder where the leadership, in a sense, that you're showing on this was, it didn't exist. And the opposite argument was even made by some. Councilwoman Kukrow, I find your conversation very interesting with the DLGS. I take it that was a phone conversation. There would be nothing in writing from them?
I can give you the name of who I spoke to. I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, I would be interested to hear that, but because I have gone to league orientations in the past, and they've spoken, and they've said, if you have council people, and Councilwoman Tarantino sat next to me, and Councilman Martin sat next to me, so they remember it. They said, if you have council people still receiving health benefits, yes, it's the law, but maybe lean on them and see what you can have them do. But Councilman has stated his stance on this, and as it's been stated before, really is a personal decision. So this idea of compromise, I don't feel it's for me to compromise. It's a personal decision. So for those reasons, I will be voting no tonight, like I did on the introduction of this ordinance.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on that. I echo your sentiments exactly. I think the law is pretty clear. You must give up your benefits voluntarily. You cannot be forced to give up your benefits. Councilman Petrozelli is not going to voluntarily give up his benefits. Okay? So what we're doing is we're voting, in a sense, to take his benefits away when we cannot do that. That's the law. We have to abide by the law. That's why I'm voting against it. It's the law.
Anyone else? I'll just make a final comment. As I said 2 weeks ago, I'm in support of the council maintaining his health insurance. We had 2 professional opinions stating that one councilman was entitled to health insurance as he was grandfathered into under the law. He has the right to maintain his health insurance through the borough. If the suit was brought, our health insurance people will not defend us. So with that being said, I'll call for the vote. Roll call, please, Ms. Ariano.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Martin.
No.
Councilman Matthew.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Disco.
No.
Councilman Petrozelli.
Abstain.
I'm sorry, Council President. Those 3 ordinance passed.
Okay. We'll move on.
Wait a minute, point of order, Council. What happens now?
Can you be more specific?
As I've read the law, as I've talked to all the folks that everybody else has talked to, the benefits cannot be involuntarily taken away. That is specifically my question. What happens now?
Well, if the ordinance takes effect, then we will find out what happens when we try to get it through the state health benefits program.
As I understand this, Tina, there's no way to do that.
There's no option for me to take them off. There's no option. I can't select a false option, so I don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't know. I can't select a false option. I tried to explain that last council meeting. There's only certain ways to remove people from the system. You can't just take people's benefits away. There has to be termination, resignation, something. I believe I outlined all that. Or they have to waive them. There's no, it's a computer, there's options, and there's no option that council ordinance to remove an individual. I can't offer them COBRA because it doesn't meet the COBRA eligibility. You can't take people's health benefits away without offering COBRA. So it opens us up to myself particularly because I'm the certifying officer And I'm certified by the state of New Jersey to be a certifying officer. And I had to take a class on that and get certified by them, and they tell us the rules, and I certify that I'm not going to break the rules, and I don't know how to take them off. There's no way for me to remove the man from the system this way. So I don't know how to act on your ordinance. I don't know what to do at this point. I don't even know who to ask or who to turn to. So I don't have an answer.
I am the chair of Laws and License of this borough, and I would like to know what is going to happen now. I'd like somebody to tell me what's going to happen.
Well, I mean, what I would suggest is assuming that the law goes into effect, that a letter of some kind would be sent to state health benefits with the ordinance and say, this is what the council passed, and see what happens. That's what would occur. You can't do it automatically. I agree with the clerk administrator. She can't play with the system. She can't answer yes when the question, when the answer is no. So, and the system is automatic. So in other words, it's a computer system. So just like any other computer program, you answer the questions. If she answers the questions, it's not going to go through. So there's nothing to do other than to say, this is the ordinance that was passed by the council, what do we do about this? I mean, obviously, we want better language than that, but that's essentially the only thing you could do with the ordinance.
So who's going to write the letter?
I'll write the letter.
Okay. Again, I based my vote solely on the law, of what I read the law to be.
Right, understood.
What the law was. So now I'm wondering what the next step under the law is. So if that's the next step.
Well, I don't have any other suggestion. You can't do it automatically. So assuming that the ordinance takes effect, the letter goes in and see what happens.
Okay. We'll move on to council standing committees, reports, and other reports. Police Commissioner, Councilman Sarno.
Thank you, Mayor. Here's some personnel updates. Officer Pridey has completed his coach program and has been assigned to a permanent squad in the patrol division. Officer Kleinsargen's condition has been upgraded, and he has returned to work in a light-duty capacity as of 2/29/16. He returns to the traffic division where he can work under his current restrictions. Officer Cosgrove has also been released for duty with no restrictions. He returns to his squad in the patrol division effective 3/11/16. Chief Underhill attended the last seniors meeting on March 3rd and spoke to them about how the police department processes an emergency medical call when received at the dispatch center. This was in response to questions regarding some apprehension to dial 911 due to billing concerns for services provided. Chief Underhill explained the process and routing of an emergency call, what could be expected as a response, and how and why some billing takes place from outside agencies. Most billing is completely covered by insurance. Emphasis was placed on no person ever having to have second thoughts about calling 911, especially for a medical emergency. The visit was well received with positive feedback. This information will be published in the next newsletter to all residents. Chief Underhill and Captain Stover attended a presentation, Family, sponsored by the Family Police, presented by Moms Demand Action, who are nonpartisan advocates for gun safety awareness around the home. The program is geared towards those who both do and don't own firearms. Chief Underhill found the program and information informative and worth bringing to Garwood. Arrangements are being made for a springtime presentation to Garwood residents who may wish to attend. For more information, visit besmartforkids.org and facebook.com/momsdemandAction. I'm also meeting with our current first aid squad members to continue to negotiate exactly how we can bring that going forward. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Any comments? Hearing none. Public Health, Councilwoman Kukrow.
There will be a meeting this month, so nothing for me tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Streets and Roads, Ecology Council President Petrozelli.
Thank you, Mayor. The Department of Public Works completed the following from February 24th to March 8th. Reoccurring activities: perform residential household waste pickup twice a week on north and south sides. Fuel all vehicles and equipment to the Benton County Public Works Complex in Scotch Plains. And also provided white good appliance pickup at various times weekly throughout the borough. Miscellaneous activities: performed de-icing on borough streets, parking lots, and school crossings and sidewalks during the small winter event on March 4th. Continued clearing the debris from the tops of all stormwater drainage inlets on north and south side of the borough. Picked up all debris and litter from both sides of the underpass, sidewalks, and Center Street. Cut up and removed broken branches in various locations of the borough. Cleaned all trucks and equipment within the fleet. Cut down a small tree within the 200 block of Myrtle Avenue. Performed winter pothole repairs in various locations of the borough, including but not limited to the intersection of 3rd and Cedar and on the 200 block of Hickory. Transport the stockpile of electronics to the, from the recycling center to the Family Recycling Center for disposal. And also installed a defibrillator at the Sports and Rec Complex and repaired damaged crosswalk sign on the 400 block of 2nd Avenue. That's all for my report.
Thank you. Any comments on the report? Hearing none, fire, Councilwoman Kukrow.
Thank you, Mayor. The activities report is there were 22 incidents, 8 alarm activations, 3 CO alarms, 4 odor of gas, 1 smoke condition, 3 spills, 1 residential lockout, 2 mutual aid to Hillside and Union for a total of 6 hours. Total man hours was 125 for all alarms. There was a meeting, 22 men, 33 hours. Drill, 15 men, 23 hours. Bloodborne pathogen and right to know recertification. Extra duty, 1 man, 4 hours. Middlesex Fire Academy Engine Company operations. That's all for my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any comments on the report? Hearing none, finance, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Thank you, Mayor. The budget has now been presented to the mayor and council to review in advance of our special budget meetings. As I stated in my memo to the council last week, I encourage everyone to look over the sheets and come prepared with any questions or suggestions that they may have. The first special budget meeting of the mayor and council will be this Thursday, March 10th at 7 p.m. right here at council chambers. I'd like us to focus on the budget page by page that night. The next special budget meeting will be the following week on Thursday, March 17th, again 7 p.m. here in council chambers. Our tax assessor will make a presentation on the matter of revaluation of taxes at that meeting. She's come before the council in the past, and now we're inviting her to that meeting as well. In addition to discussing the operating budget, I'd like us to discuss the capital items that were requested by the borough's department heads. The budget is really the heart and soul of the borough's operations, and I strongly encourage the public to attend these meetings. Additionally, I would like to remind residents that information has been posted on the borough website at www.garwood.org about the new option to pay taxes online. As mentioned previously, many other towns offer this option to their residents. I did a little investigation on this and found our neighboring towns of Cranford and Westfield both use Edmunds for their financial software like we do now as well, and they offer this option to their residents with the same fees as the fees are set by Edmunds, not the borough. And that's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments on the finance report?
I just have a question. How much, with the budget that I received, how much of a tax increase are we looking at just in that document?
Sure. As stated in my memo, Councilman, we'll know that information this Thursday. We were working right up until the day when you received your council mail about that, so the auditors will have that for us Thursday.
So we don't have an estimate or anything?
I do not
like
have that number.
Okay. Any further questions? Hearing none. Buildings and Grounds, Councilman Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. Buildings and Grounds Committee recommends adoption of Resolution 16-167 on the consent agenda. This resolution renews for a 3-year term from April 1st, 2016 through April 1st, 2019, the shared services janitorial agreement with the Board of Education, whereby the board provides janitorial services to the borough's municipal properties, including the Garwood Sports and Recreation Complex. The agreement contains annual increases of 2% for these janitorial services. That's all from our report, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments? Hearing none. Laws and License, Councilman Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. Laws and License Committee discussed the police chief's recommendation at the prior meeting about the borough's property maintenance code as being outdated. The committee unanimously decided to accept the chief's recommendations to align the code with the International Property Maintenance Code, as it's called now, as the BOCA code no longer exists, the former code that the law was based on. This will need to be done by an ordinance changing the ordinance, and the council will get a copy of the new ordinance once it is prepared. That is all from my report.
Thank you. Any comments on the report?
I just have a question, Mayor. Is somebody going to send the code and the proposed changes to me?
I have it all. I wrote it in '06, so it's pretty much done. So I'll
Okay,
send it.
good.
We have a few.
Well, feel free to continue with it and send it to me.
Oh, it's done already. Hold on. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Thank you. Recreation, Councilman Martin.
No report.
Thank you. Garwood Senior Citizens Liaison, Councilwoman Kukrow.
Thank you, Mayor. A few quick things. Carol Lombardo spoke for a few minutes for the Historical Committee, making sure no one was throwing anything away that could be of use for them to use for the history of Garwood. A very worthy cause as we continue to chronicle our history. She also wanted to remind everyone about the rededication at the field on June 12th at 2 p.m. And in case they knew any of the people that were part of the original dedication in 1960, to reach out to them or pass it along. Chief Underhill gave a very informative and important presentation about 9/11 calls and first responders and how everything ties together for everyone to understand. He had handouts for everyone, and I thought it would be something that was good to get out to the general public or post on the Garwood website. It was unanimous. Everyone thought he did a fantastic job. We discussed the tents that would be needed for the senior picnic. I was trying to gauge the size and amount that would be needed, and everyone said there were 2 big ones used last year. So we'll try and compare the size that our celebrations committee purchased a few years ago to utilize and take suggestions from a few weeks ago and call the county. I also relate to a resident that was trying to get the sign replaced on the corner of Hickory and Lexington, that they were very pleased to know that after no response for a year from anyone, the chief has graciously offered a note to order a new one. That's all for my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments on the report?
Just one comment, Mayor, just to clarify, it's the Recreation Commission that purchased the tents, so.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Okay.
No problem.
Very good. Library's Mayor Representative, Council President Petrozelli.
Thank you, Mayor. The library celebration of Dr. Seuss's birthday on March 2nd was a great success. About 50 people attended the event. Most agreed that President Obama did a better job than Justin Bieber reading the Dr. Seuss's book. All the kids helped blow out the candles on the strawberry-filled birthday cake and then devoured it. They enjoyed a Thing 1 and Thing 2 photo booth. Every child got a little prize for participating in Seuss's bingo or answering Seuss's trivia questions. The biggest cost of the event was the cake. The prizes were donated books or prizes accumulated over the years for the summer, for summer reading. The photo booth was made out of recycled cardboard, and it was such a big success that we would probably make it an annual event. Maybe next year, Mayor and Council can read a on the big screen. On Friday, March 18th, the library will host 4th grade Girl Scout troop sleepover. The girls and a few leaders will enjoy pizza, badge work, and a movie night, hopefully settling down before nightfall. Great. Yeah. The library celebration of National Craft Month continues with Easter egg for the adult crafts on Tuesday, March 15th, and kids crafters will be making a spring flower display featuring eggs and rabbits on the 14th. Each Friday in March at 3 p.m., the library will offer a simple craft including origami, flower making, and painting to anyone who wants to participate. No registration is required. And as always, the library has many other ongoing programs, including the Knitting Club, Monday and Thursday at 10:30 a.m., Color Me Calm, Mondays at 11:30 a.m., book clubs, Adult Ed, Tuesdays, Thursdays at noon, ESL, Tuesdays at 2 p.m., Parent-Child Knitting, Wednesday at 6 p.m., Toddler Story Time, Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m., Friday morning movies, Friday at 10 a.m., and the Lego Club, 2 Thursdays a month at 3 p.m. The Garwood Library is open Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Fridays 9 a.m. to 4:30, and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The library is closed Friday, March 25th and Saturday, March 26th for the Easter holiday. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments on the library report? Hearing none, school board liaison, Councilman Sarno.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Celebration of public events and holidays liaison, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to remind everyone that the annual egg hunt will be held at the Garwood Recreation Complex on March 19th. Residents can arrive at 11:45 a.m. as the hunt will begin at 12:15 p.m. The ages range from preschool to 3rd grade, and the egg hunts will be separated into age categories as they have in past years. In addition to eggs, children will have an opportunity to win prizes that will be raffled off. Looking forward to seeing everyone there. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments on the report? Union County Air Traffic Noise Advisory Board Representative, Councilman Matthews.
Excuse me. No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Administrative Review Committee, Councilwoman Tedesco.
No report, Mayor?
Historical Committee, Councilwoman Tedesco.
No report today, Mayor.
Okay.
Councilwoman Kuko reminded everyone anyway, so. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Sarah.
That's okay.
Okay, we have no officer report this evening. Public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone. State your full name and address for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
I'm still John Bartlett, 231 Hemlock Avenue. I don't get to come here very often, so I'm going to speak twice tonight. I hear a lot of griping and complaining in Union County about our county freeholders, that it's not a representative government, that they're poor stewards of the county's financial assets. I hear that griping and complaining in this very room. And it might surprise some of you to know that even as a Democrat, I happen to agree with that. I think if we saw a foreign country where you could predict election after election after election, the outcome a year before it takes place, we'd laugh at them. We do laugh at them. It's not a very representative form of government as far as I'm concerned. But we don't have that problem in Garwood, do we? If I look at the 7 people I sit on the dais, I don't think you can get a better blend politically, ideologically, demographically, geographically. So what do you do with this gift that you've got? Is this the model of behavior and good government that you'd like to see in the county? God, I hope not. As bad as it is, it's not as toxic as what we see here. So we just had a vote a few minutes ago that I don't agree with, but that vote is done. The process will take place now, and we'll go on from that. But you had a good opportunity starting Thursday to start to really behave like the people we thought you were when we sent you here. Because I don't think, there's probably 4,000 people in this town who don't really care what party you're in, quite frankly. There's a couple dozen people maybe that are active, enthusiastic members of the Democratic Club and the Republican Club, and God bless them. But the rest of us really just work hard. We try to do the best we can. And I've lived in this town probably 43, 44 years of my life, and I can't ever remember, I remember Harry Hartman. I couldn't remember he was Republican or Democrat. We really didn't care less. And I'd like to take us back to that time when we had some great representative people. Some of the pictures are up there. I think we can get back there again. You've got the opportunity. Put aside all the pettiness. Stop fighting the last election. Stop digging in for the next election. Stop going back over rehashing decisions that were made years back. And start doing the good work for the town of Garwood. That's all I ask. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Patterson?
Good evening, Mayor Lombardo, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Bruce Patterson, 325 Willow Avenue. As the resident griper of Union County, everybody knows it.
Is this a short break?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into it. I mean, I could talk for probably 2 to 3 hours, but I won't get into it. But I mean, that calling the council worse than Union County. I mean, oh my God, that is an insult. So take it for what it is. But please, John.
Right, though.
He's not right. Yeah, Union County. Never mind, I won't get into Union County. But anyway, I mentioned about that ordinance that you had passed, maybe it was 10 years ago, about it was unconstitutional. And just to follow up on the end of it, it was actually under threat of the ACLU, right, rattling their sabers, that about a year later, it was actually rescinded. So I don't know, maybe the ACLU will come in on this one, so you never know. Just a question for the borough administrator about the choices, about the false options that she's talking about. I guess there must be like a choice to circle or square to check that says A, B, C, D, given whatever the options are. Is that what you're saying?
It doesn't
And
have
that
A,
they're,
B, C, or D, it just has the option.
yeah, but it listed, and I guess you have to like circle one or.
Click it. Click it.
Oh, click it. Oh, that's right.
It's a computer.
I'm an old guy. Okay, so you got to click it, but there is no little line that says other, right?
No.
No. Okay. All right. So, and just a procedural question for Mr. Renard. There's a resolution on 16171. It's a settlement between Garwood and a plaintiff. And I'm just wondering, who actually signs first? Is it the plaintiff that signs, and then it comes to the council by consent agenda, and then they agree, and then the borough of Garwood signs? Is that
Do you want to know in this case, or do you want to know generally?
Generally.
Generally, the person on the other side signs, sends the papers to the borough, and then then the borough would sign.
Okay, plaintiff first?
Generally.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you going to ask me now if we did that in this case?
Did we do that in this case?
No.
Thank you.
South Carolina 55, 4th Avenue. I wish the county would act the way you guys have acted this evening and cutting costs to our government. $33,000 plus another $100,000 in salaries. It's almost $44,000. $55,000 amounts to about 1% decrease in our municipal taxes. We are almost there if you guys would compromise and come to that position. Now, Councilman Sarno, you asked a question, how come this hasn't been brought up before? It wasn't brought up before because, or it has been brought up now, because our council made a decision to fire the beloved worker over his salary and benefits. And now, no, not all God. All God is right. Now, when given the same opportunity to cut your benefits and salary, you guys are walking on it. I was one of those people that said, we're not going to go near that. Yeah. But that changed. And I don't like to read, but there's a quote, so I'm going to read it. Back when you guys decided to fire Fred Corbett over his salary and benefits, Councilwoman Tedesco, you said, it is not personal. It is what's best for our fire of Garwood. Tonight, after being offered several compromises, you said, I will not compromise, it is personal. That's all. Good night.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Jim McStandy, Mayor, 653 Borough. I just wondered, first of all, I'd like to thank each and every one of you, because the dialogue, for some reason in here today, is much better than when I was coming in July. And I see every single person talking, and I see compromise, and it's to me, it's much, much better. And I think these issues need to be brought up. And I think, Lou, look, nobody gets free benefits. At my job, they want me to take a pay loss just to pay way more for my benefits, and we're not about to do it. And because of that, there could be a major transit strike coming up this weekend in the state of New Jersey. Nobody gets free benefits. You were offered many times a simple little compromise. I don't for the life of me understand why you didn't just do that. Why did you have to stay bullish on this? That's my question to you. Secondly, Mayor, on Myrtle Avenue, on the dead-end street, there used to be a fence, right? And I guess the wood got rotten, and they removed the fence, and they put these 3 little reflector poles up. And just the other day, I saw some kid trying to drive his car through. And if it wasn't so bumpy and filled with leaves and stuff, I think he would have made it through there. And my question to you is, they're going to build affordable housing behind there. I don't know when this is gonna happen, but there were surveyors out there the day before yesterday. When I came home on break, they were standing out there. I said, excuse me, do you mind if I pull my truck in the driveway? I said, what exactly is going on here? He said, oh, we're surveying. I said, well, where's the other guy? And I look through the fence and I see him on the Westfield side, through those little poles. So I know eventually they're probably gonna start to build that affordable housing on Grove, right behind my property, which I'm not in favor of either. But my question to you is, do you think we can get a regular fence put back up with vertical poles and horizontal poles on the end of Myrtle Avenue on the Garwood Westfield border? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Again, Rick McCormick, 101 Fourth Avenue. I'm not the best public speaker, but the gentleman that stood up here twice, well, obviously he said he's not a lawyer, but he sounds like a real good politician, and he is a good speaker. With that said, I am a voice. I am a voting person in Garwood. And I think we should listen to both sides here, both Democratic and Republican. There's a reason why we're showing up and voicing our opinions here tonight. It means something. Don't throw it to the wayside. Don't listen to the here or there. It's from our heart. It's a voting matter. It is a lot of money. That's something that you guys have to decide on. It's nothing personal against Lou. Lou is part of the system. He's a victim of the system right now. That's what's happening. I'm just hoping that we all sit here today and we really look and listen to one another instead of some comments that I'm hearing through the back of my head here that this doesn't matter, that doesn't matter. It's like being at a baseball game, you're rooting for another team. That's not what we're here for. We're all the same voting voice. So I'm asking you all to listen to that. And what I'm going to say now is, Mr. Desco, hope I said that right. It's been time and time after again I've listened to you say that in all your meetings and your consideration, you have listened to other towns, other committees, and you come about an agreement or a solution or a proposal why we're going to do what we're going to do. And to Mr. Martin, he is going to go with the law. Maybe he doesn't know the true law, but he's going with the law. Well, this is the party. We're here speaking. We are the governing body. Can you please listen to us? That's basically what we're here for today. It's nothing personal. It's about our tax dollars. So I'm thinking about, as I sit there after meeting, we're coming up with the same argument about a health care issue. Let's put this down. Let's say damn, let's say whatever. Are you doing all the research for the benefit of Garwood with everything else in the town as much as you're doing with Lou's health benefits? Is all his friends going to show up and say, oh, Lou deserves this? Are we going to give everything else to the benefit of Garwood for everything else? That's my comment. That's my frustration here today. It's very frustrating. He's just a victim. And you know what? On my phone, at the Republican Club, yeah, I can tell you, I probably have 5 towns on my phone where people have voluntarily just said, I'm going to waive off to all the towns, and they're going to pay for their health care. But that's what they did. That doesn't mean he has to do that. We're just asking for a voice. It doesn't mean we have to keep signing on for the same thing. And in the end, after all this resolution is done, and the next council comes in, is it going to be in law that nobody gets health benefits? Can we do that at least? Can we consider that? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We'll have a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Mayor?
Any resolutions you'd like to be deleted?
Mayor, I'd like to pull Resolution 16-171 from the consent agenda for further discussion and questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the amended consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the amended consent agenda, Mayor.
I have a second.
Second.
Roll call, please, Ms. Arian.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Martin.
Yes.
Councilman Matthews.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Disco.
Aye.
Council President Petrozelli.
Aye.
Now, do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 16-171?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 16-171, Mayor.
Do I have a second?
Discuss it.
After the motion comes discussion.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
90 seconds, who's the second?
Okay, discussion.
Hold on, Mayor. We can't have discussion in open session, it's a litigation matter. So we have a closed session scheduled, so if we're going to discuss this, it should be discussed and closed, and then we can
Take action afterwards?
take action afterwards.
All right, thank you, Mr. Knopf. Hearing that, being a lawyer with that. Okay. New business, we had a proclamation for the National Nutrition Month, as we stated before, March 2016. Ms. Ariema, payment of claims.
Being resolved, the following claims as approved be in the same or hereby ordered payment properly signed and verified, and the payment of payrolls as listed are hereby confirmed and ratified.
We have a motion to adopt payment of claims.
So moved, Mayor.
Roll call, Ms. Ariema.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Martin. Councilman Matthews.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Disco.
Aye.
Council President Petrozelli.
Aye.
Okay, you got it.
Executive session.
Yep.
Please read the resolution for executive session.
Closed session resolution authorizing executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters regarding case number 15-0448, Borough of Garwood and Teamsters Local 11, and the investigation of notice of claim regarding the Conscientious Employee Protection Act and matters of attorney-client privilege relating to the above and in accordance with NJSA 10-4 closed session meetings. Open to the public, exclusion of public subject matter, whereas necessary for the mayor and council of the Borough of Garwood to conduct executive session closed to the public in order to discuss the above listed matter. Now therefore be it resolved by the council of the Borough of Garwood hereby move to go into executive session in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act for the purpose of discussing the subject stated above, and be it further resolved that the matters discussed in and minutes of the closed session shall be disclosed to the public when the reason for confidentiality no longer exists. That action may be taken on these matters after the closed session. I will be in the executive session for part of it, and then I will recluse myself, and the attorney will take the minutes for that portion of the meeting.
Now, motion to go into executive
Just
session.
one clarification, Mayor. Did you mention pending litigation?
No, I didn't. Pending litigation just added, Anita Murray versus the Borough of Garwood.
Is that the only pending litigation that we're discussing?
Yes.
I thought there was another pending litigation.
Another pending litigation also.
What is that one?
That's the labor arbitration.
I said that one at the beginning.
Okay.
But don't we have a threatened lawsuit by the clerk also?
That was,
That's the
we got a
conscientious employee.
recitation of that, I believe.
Okay.
That's the discussion of Conscientious Employee Protection Act, matters of attorney-client privilege. That's when I will
Okay.
recluse myself.
I just wanted to make it clear to the public, it's a threatened lawsuit by the borough clerk. That's all.
We have a motion to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Ms. Ariema.
Councilman Cooper.
Yes.
Councilman Martin. Councilman Matthews.
Aye.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Disco.
Aye.
And Council President Petrozelli.
Aye.
It was